Rain hammered the Chicago streets, turning asphalt into black mirrors reflecting red and blue neon. Victoria Monroe pressed against cold brick, lungs burning, heart trying to break free from her chest. "Victoria, baby, where are you?" Tyler's voice slithered down the alley. That sickly sweet tone before the storm, before his fists. Before the apologies that meant nothing, her shoulder throbbed where he'd grabbed her 3 days ago. The bruise hidden under her soaked cardigan was purple, turning yellow. She'd dyed her hair brown, changed her routine, stayed with strangers. But he always found her. Always. 6 months of running. 6 months of looking over her shoulder. The police couldn't help. He hadn't technically done anything illegal yet. Just texts. Just showing up. Just making her feel like prey. Across the street, warm lights spilled from a restaurant. People laughing. Safe people. Normal people, Victoria ran. The hostess's eyes went wide as Victoria burst through the door, dripping, wild. "I'm meeting someone," Victoria gasped. Not waiting for a response, her eyes scanned desperately. Couples. Business dinners. Groups of friends. Then she saw him, corner table. Charcoal suit that probably cost more than her car. Dark hair, strong jaw. Laptop open. Wine untouched, alone. Victoria didn't think. Thinking meant hesitating. Hesitating meant Tyler walking through that door. She crossed the floor. Her wet shoes squeaked against polished wood. Nathan Sterling looked up from quarterly reports, ready to dismiss whoever interrupted him. The words died. The woman standing before him was soaking wet, shaking. Terror carved into every line of her face. Brown eyes wide, desperate, pleading. "Please," she whispered. Then she sat directly on his lap, arms circling his neck. "Pretend we're together, please. He's coming, and I just can't." Nathan went rigid. But he'd negotiated billion-dollar deals. He could read people. Everything about this woman screamed genuine fear, her hands shaking against his shoulders, breath coming in short gasps. And there, above her collar, the edge of a bruise. The decision took less than a second. His arms came around her waist, pulling her close. Protective, intimate. "I've got you." "What's his name?" Tyler Bronson. "I see him." Nathan's jaw tightened. The man who just walked in was scanning the room like a predator. Tall, broad, leather jacket. Barely controlled violence radiating from every movement. Nathan did something he hadn't done in years. He acted on pure instinct. He cupped the back of her head gently, fingers threading through wet hair, and brought her face close to his. To anyone watching, they were lovers, sharing an intimate moment. "Stay with me," Nathan whispered against her ear. "He won't touch you." Tyler's heavy footsteps approached. "Victoria." Tyler's voice was tight, controlled, but Nathan heard the threat beneath. "There you are, baby. I've been looking everywhere. We need to go home and talk about this morning." Victoria's nails dug into Nathan's shoulders. Nathan ran his hand down her back, soothing, then turned to look at Tyler with the cold, measuring gaze he used on hostile opponents. "I think you have the wrong person," Nathan said, voice carrying quiet authority. "This is my girlfriend." "We're in the middle of dinner, your girlfriend?" Tyler's face flushed red. "That's my girl. Get your hands off her right now." She doesn't seem to agree with that assessment. Nathan's tone stayed even. "I suggest you leave before this becomes a problem." "A problem?" Tyler stepped forward, hands clenching into fists. "You want to see a problem? I'm not your fiancé." Victoria's voice cracked, but she forced the words out. "I broke up with you. I told you it was over. Why can't you just leave me alone?" The restaurant went quiet. Other diners watching, the manager approaching with security guards. Nathan felt grim satisfaction. Witnesses. Exactly what he'd hoped for. "Sir," the manager said firmly to Tyler, "I'm going to have to ask you to leave. You're disturbing our guests." "She's my girlfriend," Tyler insisted, but his voice lost certainty. Nathan stood smoothly, keeping Victoria secured against him, facing Tyler directly. He wasn't as physically imposing, but something in his bearing made Tyler step back. "Touch her again," Nathan said quietly, "and I will make it my personal mission to ensure you regret it. I have lawyers who specialize in restraining orders, private investigators who can document every violation, and enough money to make your life very, very complicated. Do you understand me?" The threat delivered without raising his voice, without visible anger. That made it more effective. Tyler looked between them, seeing for the first time that she'd found protection he couldn't easily overcome. "This isn't over," Tyler spat, pointing at Victoria. "You can't run forever." "Actually," Nathan said, pulling out his phone with his free hand, "it is over. Security, escort this man out. And someone call the police. I'd like to report harassment and stalking." Tyler's eyes widened. For a moment, Nathan thought he might attack, but the security guards and numerous witnesses changed his calculation. With a final, venomous glare, Tyler stormed out. The moment he was gone, Victoria's legs gave out. Nathan caught her, lowering them both back into the chair, keeping her cradled against him as she began to shake uncontrollably, adrenaline flooding out, leaving her boneless, terrified. "You're safe," Nathan murmured, one hand rubbing circles on her back. "You're safe now. He's gone. Sorry." Victoria sobbed into his shoulder. "I'm so sorry. I didn't know what else to do. He's been following me for weeks. The police won't help because he hasn't technically done anything illegal yet, and I didn't know where else to go, and I just stopped."
Nathan's voice was gentle.
"You did exactly the right thing. You protected yourself. That takes courage." Victoria pulled back to look at him, really seeing him for the first time. Kind eyes, despite the hardness of his business persona. Understanding in them, not judgment. "I don't even know your name," she whispered. "Nathan Sterling." He offered a small smile. "And you're Victoria? How did you know?" "Your ex said it several times." Nathan's expression darkened. "How long has this been going on?" 6 months since I left him. 2 years before that of slowly realizing what I'd gotten myself into." Victoria's voice was hollow. "I thought I could handle it. I thought if I was just careful enough, smart enough, I could disappear. But he always finds me." Nathan was quiet, his analytical mind working through options. He had resources, connections, and looking at this frightened woman who'd been brave enough to ask a stranger for help, he knew exactly what he was going to do. "Come with me," Nathan said suddenly. Victoria blinked. "What? To my home?" "Just for tonight." He held up a hand as she started to protest. "I have a penthouse with multiple guest rooms. My housekeeper Rosa lives in the staff quarters. You won't be alone with me if that makes you uncomfortable. But you need somewhere safe. And clearly, wherever you've been staying isn't working. I can't just go home with a stranger. Then let's not be strangers." Nathan's voice was simple, direct. "I'm Nathan Sterling. I own Sterling Tech Solutions. I'm 35. I don't drink often. I work too much. And I have a housekeeper named Rosa who makes the best empanadas in Chicago. I'm offering you a safe place to sleep tonight. Tomorrow, we figure out a more permanent solution. No expectations. No strings. Just help." Victoria studied his face, searching for deception, ulterior motives. But all she saw was genuine concern, determination, something in her chest. Something locked tight for so long loosened slightly. "Okay," she whispered, "just for tonight." Nathan smiled, and it transformed his face from intimidating to approachable. "For tonight," he agreed, though. Both of them somehow knew it was a promise that would last much longer. The Sterling Tower. Penthouse occupied the entire 42nd floor. Victoria had never seen anything like it. Floor 2 ceiling windows overlooked glittering Chicago. Modern elegance that still felt warm. Soft gray couches. Rich wooden accents. Carefully chosen art. "Dios mío," a woman's voice exclaimed. "Seen her, Nathan? What happened? This poor girl is soaked through." Petite woman in her 50s with silver-streaked dark hair hurried toward them. "Rosa, this is Victoria," Nathan said gently. "She's going to be staying in the guest suite for a while. Could you help her get settled? Maybe find some dry clothes? Rosa's experienced eyes took in Victoria's trembling form, the fear still evident. The way she held herself as if expecting a blow, her expression softened with understanding. Of course. Mia, come with me. Let's get you warm and dry. The guest suite was bigger than Victoria's entire studio apartment had been. King-size bed, sitting area, an ensuite bathroom, like something from a luxury spa. The shower has excellent water pressure, Rosa said kindly, pulling fluffy towels from a cabinet. Take as long as you need. I'll leave some clothes on the bed. They might be a bit big, but they'll be comfortable. Are you hungry? Victoria realized she couldn't remember the last time she'd eaten. Yes, she admitted quietly. But I don't want to be any trouble. Rosa cupped Victoria's face gently, dark eyes filled with maternal warmth. Mia, you are no trouble. Any friend of Senator Nathan and his family here. Now go shower. I'll make you something good to eat. Alone in the bathroom, Victoria finally let herself break down. She slid down the tiled wall, hugging her knees to her chest as sobs racked her body. For 6 months, she'd been running, hiding, constantly looking over her shoulder. She'd lost her apartment, most of her belongings, nearly all her savings, trying to stay one step ahead of Tyler. She'd been so tired, so scared, so completely alone, and then a stranger had wrapped his arms around her and promised she was safe. Eventually, Victoria pulled herself together and stepped into the shower. Hot water felt like absolution, washing away not just rain and fear, but some of the crushing weight she'd been carrying. When she emerged, she followed voices to a large kitchen where Nathan and Rosa talked quietly. They both turned when she entered. You look better, Nathan said simply. How do you feel? Like I just lived through a nightmare, Victoria answered honestly. But also like maybe I'm finally waking up from it. Rosa gestured to the island counter where a plate of food waited. Chicken enchiladas, rice, beans, small salad. The smell made Victoria's stomach growl audibly. Eat, Rosa commanded gently. You're too thin, Mia. When did you last have a proper meal? Victoria couldn't answer that without crying again. So she just sat and began to eat. The food was incredible. She devoured it with an appetite she hadn't felt in weeks. Nathan watched with an unreadable expression, sipping coffee. Thank you, Victoria said when she finally pushed the empty plate away. For everything. The food, the clothes, the help at the restaurant. I don't know how I'll ever repay you. You don't need to repay me, Nathan said firmly. But you do need to tell me the whole story so I can help properly. Victoria's first instinct was to deflect, to minimize, to protect herself by keeping her pain private. But something about Nathan's steady gaze and Rosa's supportive presence made her feel safe enough to share. So she told them everything. Meeting Tyler 2 years ago. How charming he'd been at first. How he'd swept her off her feet with grand gestures and constant attention. How slowly, so slowly, she hadn't noticed until it was too late that attention had turned into control. It started small, Victoria said, hands wrapped around tea Rosa had given her. He wanted to know where I was all the time, who I was with, what I was doing. He said it was because he loved me so much, because he wanted to be part of every aspect of my life. I thought it was romantic. Nathan's jaw tightened, but he said nothing. Then he started criticizing my friends, saying they were bad influences, that they didn't really care about me like he did. One by one, I stopped seeing them. Then it was my family. He convinced me they were trying to control me, that I needed to establish boundaries. So I pulled away from them too. Rosa made a soft sound of distress, reaching over to squeeze Victoria's hand. By the time I realized what was happening, I was completely isolated. No friends, estranged from my family. Financially dependent on him because he'd convinced me to quit my job so we could spend more time together. And then the physical violence started. Victoria's voice dropped to barely a whisper. It was my birthday. I'd mentioned wanting to go to this art gallery opening. He said we would go, but then he started drinking and got angry about something at work. When I reminded him about the gallery, He backhanded me across the face. Nathan's coffee mug hit the counter with more force than necessary. "I'm sorry," he said, voice tight with controlled anger. I shouldn't have interrupted. "Please continue." He was so sorry afterward. He cried, brought me flowers, promised it would never happen again. And I believed him because I wanted to believe him. Because admitting what he was would mean admitting what I had become. "What happened 6 months ago?" Nathan asked gently. "He put me in the hospital." Victoria's voice was flat. Broken ribs, concussion, internal bleeding. "He told the doctors I'd fallen down the stairs. I was so scared and so ashamed that I backed up his story. But lying in that hospital bed, I realized that if I stayed, he would eventually kill me. So the day I was discharged, I ran." She looked up at Nathan with eyes full of exhausted determination. "I've been running ever since. I got a restraining order, but he violated it within a week. The police said, unless he actually assaults me again, there's nothing they can do. I changed my phone number, but he keeps finding it somehow. I've stayed with acquaintances and shelters, even slept in my car. But he always finds me." Nathan was quiet for a long moment. When he finally spoke, his voice carried absolute conviction. "He won't find you here. I promise you that." "Can't promise that," Victoria said, fear creeping back into her voice. "You don't know him. You don't know how obsessed he is?" "No," Nathan agreed. "But he doesn't know me either. And that's his mistake." Something in Nathan's tone made Victoria look at him more carefully. There was steel beneath the kindness, a darkness in his eyes that spoke of his own demons. "Who are you really?" Victoria asked quietly. "What kind of CEO drops everything to help a stranger?" Nathan was silent for a long moment. Rosa stood and quietly excused herself, sensing this was a conversation that needed privacy. When they were alone, Nathan finally spoke. "My mother was like you," he said, voice carefully controlled. "She ran too, from my father. When I was 8 years old, Victoria's breath caught. She took me and my little sister. We had nothing, just the clothes on our backs and whatever cash she'd managed to hide. We lived in shelters, friends' couches, sometimes our car. She worked 3 jobs trying to keep us fed." Nathan's hands clenched around his coffee mug. "My father found us when I was 10. He broke into the apartment we were staying in. Beat my mother so badly, she was hospitalized for 2 weeks. I tried to stop him. I was 10 years old, and I tried to fight a grown man to protect her." "Nathan," Victoria whispered. "He broke my arm," Nathan continued, voice hollow. 3 ribs. Gave me a concussion, and while I lay on the floor barely conscious, he told my mother that she'd never escape him, that he owned her, that if she tried to run again, he'd kill all of us." Tears streamed down Victoria's face. "What happened?" "He went to prison. Assault charges. Attempted murder. But my mother never recovered. Not really. She lived in fear every single day until he died of a heart attack 8 years later. And even then, even when he was dead and gone, she'd still wake up screaming from nightmares." Nathan finally looked at Victoria, and she saw raw pain in his eyes. "I built this company, made this fortune, acquired this power. Also, I'd never be that helpless 10-year-old boy again, so I could protect the people I care about. So no one could ever make me feel that powerless." He reached across the counter and gently took Victoria's hand. "When you sat on my lap tonight, when I saw that fear in your eyes, I saw my mother. I saw my sister. I saw every woman who's ever been told she's not strong enough to escape. And I made a promise to myself a long time ago. If I ever had the power to help someone in that situation, I would, no matter what it cost me." Victoria stared at him, seeing him clearly for the first time. Not just a wealthy CEO, but a survivor. Someone who understood her nightmare because he'd lived one of his own. "Thank you," she whispered, "for telling me, for helping me, for everything." Nathan squeezed her hand gently. "You're not alone anymore, Victoria. I'm going to help you build a life where you never have to look over your shoulder again." For the first time in 6 months, Victoria felt something she'd forgotten existed. Hope, but neither of them knew that. Tyler Bronson was sitting in his car 3 blocks away, watching the building entrance. He'd followed them. learned where the rich bastard who'd stolen his girl lived, and Tyler had never been good at accepting no for an answer. His phone buzzed. A text from his brother Marcus. "Need help with something?" Tyler smiled. A cold, cruel smile. "Yeah," he typed back. "I need to teach someone a lesson about taking what's mine." 3 weeks passed. Victoria began to breathe again. Nathan hired a security detail. Changed her phone number through channels Tyler couldn't trace. His lawyers filed restraining orders in multiple jurisdictions. His private investigators documented every one of Tyler's violations. Victoria started sleeping through the night. Started eating regular meals. Started remembering who she'd been before fear became her constant companion. And somewhere along the way, pretending became something else. Nathan worked from home more often. They'd have breakfast together. He'd ask about her day. She'd tell him about the online classes she'd enrolled in, reclaiming the graphic design degree she'd abandoned. Their hands would brush, reaching for the same coffee pot. Their eyes would meet across the dinner table. The air between them would crackle with something neither acknowledged. Rosa watched them dance around each other with knowing eyes and said nothing. It was a Thursday evening when everything changed. Victoria was curled on the couch, sketching in her tablet when Nathan came home early. His tie was loosened, his expression troubled. "We need to talk," he said quietly. Victoria's stomach dropped. Those 4 words, the ones that always preceded bad news. "Okay," she managed. Nathan sat beside her, close but not touching. "My investigators found something." "About Tyler? What kind of something?" "He has a criminal record. Sealed juvenile records, but my people are thorough. When he was 17, he hospitalized his high school girlfriend. Put her in a coma for 3 days. The charges were dropped because his family paid her family off. Made it disappear." Victoria felt ice flood her veins. "There's more," Nathan continued, voice gentle but firm. "There have been 3 other women since then, all with the same pattern. Charm, control, violence. He's been arrested twice but never convicted. His family has money, connections. They make problems disappear." "Why are you telling me this?" Victoria whispered. "Because you need to know what we're really dealing with. This isn't just about getting a restraining order. Tyler is dangerous, calculating, and he has resources." Nathan turned to face her fully. "I want to offer you something. A job, a real one. At my company, with a salary, benefits, your own apartment in a secure building. Everything documented and legal so you can build a real life again. No more hiding. No more running. Just starting over." Victoria stared at him, overwhelmed. "Why would you do all this for me?" "Because it's the right thing to do." "That's not the whole reason," Victoria said quietly. "Is it?" Nathan was silent for a long moment. When he spoke, his voice was rough with emotion. "No, it's not." He reached out slowly, giving her time to pull away. When she didn't, he cupped her face gently. "These past 3 weeks, getting to know you, watching you rebuild yourself, you're incredible, Victoria. You're strong and kind and talented, and you deserve so much more than running and hiding." Nathan, Victoria breathed. "I know this is complicated. I know you're vulnerable, and I'm in a position of power, and this could be so many kinds of wrong. But I can't stop thinking about you. Can't stop wanting to make you smile. Can't stop wanting to keep you safe." "I feel it too," Victoria admitted, "but I'm scared. I'm scared that I'm just trading one cage for another, that I'm just latching on to you because you saved me." "Then we take it slow," Nathan said. "We do this right. You take the job. Get your own place. Build your independence. And if, after all that, you still want this, want me, then we'll figure it out together." Victoria leaned forward and kissed him. Soft, tentative, testing. Nathan made a sound low in his throat and kissed her back. One hand sliding into her hair, the other pulling her closer. It was gentle but intense, full of weeks of restrained want. When they finally broke apart, both breathing hard, Victoria rested her forehead against his. "Okay," she whispered. slow, independent. Then we figure it out. And it was the most genuine smile Victoria had ever seen from him. Okay, double quotes. What neither of them knew was that Marcus Bronson, Tyler's brother, had been working in Sterling Tech's IT department for 6 months, and he'd just been asked to install new security software on Nathan, Sterling's personal computer. The next morning, Victoria woke to find Nathan already gone. A note on the kitchen counter said he had an early meeting but would be back for lunch. Rosa hummed in the kitchen. Making breakfast, Victoria felt lighter than she had in years. Hope, purpose, and maybe, just maybe, the beginning of real love. Her phone buzzed. Unknown number. Her blood turned to ice. But when she opened it, the message wasn't from Tyler. Victoria Monroe. This is Detective Sarah Chen with Chicago PD. We need to speak with you regarding Nathan Sterling. It's urgent. Please call immediately. Victoria's hands shook as she dialed the number. Miss Monroe, Detective Chen's voice was professional, but tinged with something that sounded like pity. Thank you for calling back. I need to ask you some questions about your relationship with Nathan Sterling. What kind of questions? Is he in trouble? Miss Monroe, are you aware that Mr. Sterling has a history of restraining orders filed against him? Victoria's world tilted. What? 3 women over the past 7 years, all claiming harassment, obsessive behavior, unwanted surveillance. The cases were settled out of court with significant financial compensation and NDAs. No, Victoria said. No, that's impossible. Nathan's not like that. He's helping me. He's protecting me from my ex, Miss Monroe. Detective Chen's voice was gentle. Has Mr. Sterling encouraged you to isolate from friends and family? Has he provided you with a new phone? Moved you into his home? Offered you a job at his company? Made you financially dependent on him? Victoria's stomach turned over. Ah! You don't understand. My ex is dangerous. Tyler put me in the hospital. We have no record of any hospital admission for you under domestic violence. We've checked every hospital in Chicago. I didn't report it, Victoria said desperately. I was scared. I backed up Tyler's story that I'd fallen. Miss Monroe, we also can't find any evidence that Tyler Bronson has violated your restraining order. In fact, Mr. Bronson filed a police report yesterday claiming that Nathan Sterling threatened him and has been harassing him for weeks. The room spun. This doesn't make sense. I need you to come to the station. Miss Monroe, there are things you need to see. Documents, evidence. I believe you may be in danger, but not from the person you think. Victoria ended the call with shaking hands. It couldn't be true. Nathan had scars from his past. He'd shared his trauma with her. He understood her pain. But a small voice in the back of her mind whispered, Tyler had been charming at first, too. Tyler had isolated her, too. Tyler had made her dependent, too. She looked around the penthouse. This beautiful cage? This comfortable prison? No. Nathan wasn't Tyler. He couldn't be, could he? Victoria grabbed her coat and walked toward the elevator. She needed answers. She needed to see this evidence for herself. The elevator doors opened. Nathan stood inside. Hours earlier than he'd said he'd be back, his expression was cold, disappointed. And for the first time since that night in the restaurant, Victoria felt afraid of Nathan Sterling. Nathan, Victoria's voice came out smaller than she intended. I didn't expect you back so soon. He stepped out of the elevator, and she instinctively stepped back. His eyes tracked the movement. Something flickered across his face. Hurt, then hardness. You were leaving. It wasn't a question. I just needed some air. I was going to take a walk. Without telling Rosa? Without your security detail? With your coat and purse? Nathan's voice was perfectly calm, perfectly controlled. Don't lie to me, Victoria. You're better than that, Detective called me, Victoria said, forcing her voice to steady. Detective Chen. She said things about you. About restraining orders. About other women? Nathan went very still. And you believed her. I don't know what to believe, Victoria said. That's why I need to go. I need to see the evidence myself. I need to understand what's happening. What's happening, Nathan said quietly, is that Tyler is playing you. Using the system against me, just like I've been using it against him. He pulled out his phone, tapped a few times, then held it out to her. There is no Detective Sarah Chen in Chicago PD's Domestic Violence Unit. Here's the department roster. Check for yourself. Victoria took the phone with shaking hands. He was right. No Sarah Chen listed. It's the number that called you, Nathan continued. Let me guess. It showed up as Chicago PD? Yes. Spoofing. Easy to do with the right software. Tyler's brother Marcus works in IT. He has access to tools that can make any phone number appear as the caller ID. Took his phone back and pulled up another screen. Here are the actual restraining orders filed against me. 2, not 3. Both from the same woman, Jennifer Hartley. Both dismissed because she was caught fabricating evidence. She'd been blackmailing wealthy men for years. She targeted me because I'd refused her advances at a charity gala. Showed her court documents, police reports, everything official and verified. The third restraining order doesn't exist. It's a fabrication. Probably a doctored PDF that Tyler planned to show you if you went to meet this fake detective. Victoria's hands wouldn't stop shaking. How do I know you're not the one fabricating documents? How do I know any of this is real? You don't, Nathan said simply. That's the problem. You have to choose who to trust, me or Tyler. And right now, after everything we've shared, after everything I've told you about my past, you're choosing to believe I'm the monster. I'm not, Victoria said desperately. I just need to think. I need space to figure this out. Space, Nathan repeated. Fine, you want space? Take it. He reached into his jacket and pulled out an envelope. This is everything I promised you. Bank account information for your new account with 3-month salary already deposited. Keys to an apartment in a secure building downtown. Documentation for your job at Sterling Tech that starts Monday. Your independence. Your fresh start. Everything you need to walk away from me and build your own life. He held it out to her. Victoria stared at the envelope like it might bite her. If I'm the monster you're afraid I am, Nathan said, voice rough, I wouldn't give you this. I'd keep you trapped, dependent, under my control. But I'm not him, Victoria. I never was. He pressed the envelope into her hands. Go take your space. Figure out what you believe. But know this. I love you. Not because you need me. Not because I need to save you. But because of who you are, your strength, your courage. The way you laugh at Rose's terrible jokes. The way you chew your bottom lip when you're concentrating on your designs. The way you've rebuilt yourself from ashes. Tears streamed down Victoria's face. I'm sorry, she whispered. I'm so sorry. But after Tyler, I don't know how to trust my own judgment. I don't know how to tell the difference between love and control. I know, Nathan said gently, and I don't blame you for that. But I can't be with someone who sees me as a potential threat. You need to heal. Really heal. And maybe that means healing without me. He stepped back into the elevator. The apartment is yours for as long as you need it. The job is real if you want it. No strings. No expectations. And Victoria, he looked at her one last time, and she saw the pain in his eyes. I'll keep you safe from Tyler regardless. Not because you owe me. Not because I expect anything in return. But because it's the right thing to do. That's who I am. I just wish you could see it. The elevator doors closed. Victoria stood frozen. Envelope clutched in her hands, tears blurring her vision. She'd done it again. Let fear make her decisions. Let trauma dictate her future. But was it fear? Or was it wisdom? How could she know? Her phone rang. A different unknown number. Against every instinct, she answered. Victoria. Tyler's voice. I saw him give you that envelope. I've been watching. He's letting you go, because I told him I'd release the photos if he didn't. What photos? Of you, from when we were together. Intimate photos. The ones you let me take because you loved me. Because you trusted me. Victoria's blood turned to ice. You deleted those. You promised. I lied. And if you don't come back to me, if you don't tell the world that Nathan Sterling kidnapped you and held you hostage, I'll release them everywhere. Your family will see them. Your future employers, everyone. You're insane. I'm in love, Tyler said, and I'm not letting you go. You have 2 hours to meet me at our old apartment. Come alone. We'll talk this through, or I start uploading. He hung up. Victoria stood in the hallway, trapped between two impossible choices. Trust Nathan. Trust that he'd protect her from Tyler's threats. Trust that he was different, or protect herself. Meet Tyler. Try to negotiate. Delete those photos before they destroyed what little dignity she had left. She thought about Nathan's face, the pain in his eyes, the envelope in her hands representing everything she needed to be free. She thought about Tyler's voice, that sickly sweet tone, the threats wrapped in false affection, and she made her choice. Victoria opened the envelope. Inside was everything Nathan had promised, plus one more thing. A handwritten note. I installed tracking software on your phone before I gave it to you. Not to control you, but to keep you safe. If you're reading this, you've probably been contacted by Tyler with some kind of threat or ultimatum. Don't go to him, please. Let me handle this. You don't have to trust me with your heart, but trust me with your safety. I'm begging you. Victoria's hands trembled. He'd been tracking her, just like Tyler used to, just like the detective had warned, but he'd told her, given her the choice, begged her not to do something stupid rather than forcing her. Was that control, or was that protection? Victoria made her decision. She went to meet Tyler anyway, not because she didn't trust Nathan, but because she needed to face Tyler herself, needed to prove to herself that she wasn't a victim anymore, that she could stand on her own 2 feet. She wrote a quick note too. Rosa. Then she walked out of Sterling Tower alone. The old apartment was in a neighborhood Victoria had never wanted to return to. She stood outside the familiar door, every muscle tense, every nerve screaming at her to run. She knocked. Tyler opened the door with that smile, the one that had charmed her once. Now, it just looked predatory. I knew you'd come. You always do what you're told. It's one of the things I love about you. I came to tell you it's over, Victoria said, voice stronger than she felt. Delete the photos. Leave me alone. Or I'll press charges for revenge porn, for stalking, for harassment. I have lawyers now. Good ones. Tyler's smile widened. You think that rich bastard's lawyers scare me? Come inside. Let's discuss this properly. No, we talk here. In the hallway, where there are witnesses. It's always so difficult, Tyler sighed. Then his hand shot out, grabbing her wrist and yanking her inside. Victoria screamed. The door slammed shut, and Tyler's smile turned cold. You made me do this, Victoria. You and your rich protector. But don't worry. After tonight, you'll remember who you really belong to. Victoria saw the knife in his other hand and knew she'd made a terrible mistake. Outside the building, Nathan Sterling sat in his car, watching the tracker on his tablet. She'd gone anyway. Despite his warning, despite everything, he grabbed his phone. This is Nathan Sterling. I need police at 2847 Ashland Avenue, apartment 3B. Domestic violence situation in progress. Victim's name is Victoria Monroe. Suspect is Tyler Bronson. Armed and dangerous. Then he got out of the car and ran toward the building. Because whether Victoria trusted him or not, he'd meant what he said. He would keep her safe, no matter what it cost him. Victoria backed away from Tyler, the knife glinting between them. Her mind raced through every self-defense tip she'd ever read. Every escape plan she'd practiced in her head during those endless nights of running. Tyler put the knife down. This isn't you, isn't me? Tyler laughed, bitter and sharp. This is exactly me. This is what you made me become. You were supposed to love me? Supposed to stay? Instead, you ran. Embarrassed me. Made me look weak. I left because you hurt me, Victoria said, keeping her voice steady. Because you put me in the hospital. I was teaching you, Tyler said. Teaching you that actions have consequences. That you can't just do whatever you want. Someone needs to control you, Victoria. Keep you safe from yourself. And if that rich bastard won't do it right, then I will. The apartment door suddenly exploded inward. Nathan stood in the doorway, breathing hard from his sprint up 3 flights of stairs. His eyes locked on the knife in Tyler's hand. On Victoria backed against the wall. Step away from her, Nathan said, voice deadly calm. Tyler spun toward him, knife raised. This is your fault. You poisoned her against me. Filled her head with lies. Made her think she could just leave me. She doesn't belong to you, Nathan said, taking a slow step forward. She never did. She's a person, not a possession. What would you know about it? Tyler spat. You're just like me. You took her from me. Locked her in your tower. Tracked her phone. Don't pretend you're better. Nothing like you, Nathan said quietly. Because I gave her the choice to leave. I gave her independence. I gave her freedom. You only know how to take. Tyler lunged at Nathan. Everything happened fast. Nathan sidestepped, years of self-defense training kicking in. He grabbed Tyler's knife arm, twisted, and Tyler screamed as the blade clattered to the floor. They grappled. Tyler was bigger, stronger, fueled by rage. Nathan was trained, controlled, fueled by something deeper than anger. Love. Victoria didn't freeze. Didn't stand there helplessly. She grabbed a lamp from the side table and brought it down hard on Tyler's back. He roared, loosening his grip on Nathan. Nathan seized the advantage, driving Tyler to the floor and pinning him there. Sirens wailed outside. Growing closer, it's over, Tyler, Nathan said, breathing hard. You're done. Tyler thrashed beneath him, screaming obscenities. But Nathan held firm until police flooded the apartment. Officers pulled Tyler away, handcuffing him while he ranted. Something about his rights? About Victoria being his? About everyone conspiring against him? Victoria watched them drag him out and felt something break inside her. Not break apart. Break open. She'd faced him. Fought back, survived. Nathan stood slowly, checking himself for injuries. A cut on his cheek, bruised knuckles. But otherwise intact. Are you okay? He asked Victoria. She looked at him. Really looked at him. This man who'd tracked her phone but told her he'd done it. Who'd offered her independence, even when it meant losing her. Who'd come running when she'd made a stupid, stubborn choice to face Tyler alone. You came? She whispered. Of course I came, Nathan said. I told you. I'll always keep you safe. Whether you trust me or not. Whether you want me or not. That doesn't change, Victoria said. Tears streaming down her face now. I was so wrong. You're nothing like him. You've never been like him. I just couldn't see it because I was so afraid of making the same mistake twice. You weren't wrong to be afraid, Nathan said gently. After everything you've been through, fear is the only reasonable response. I don't blame you for that, Victoria. I never did. I love you, Victoria said. I love you, and I'm terrified of that. But I don't want to let fear make my choices anymore. I want to choose you. I want to choose us. Nathan crossed the distance between them in 2 strides and pulled her into his arms. I love you too, he whispered against her hair. So damn much. And I promise you, I will spend every day proving that I'm safe, that you can trust me, that this is different. I know, Victoria said, because you already have. They stood there holding each other while police officers moved around them, taking statements and gathering evidence. Eventually, a female officer approached. Miss Monroe, we need you to come to the station. Give a full statement. We've arrested Mr. Bronson on multiple charges. Breaking and entering, assault with a deadly weapon, stalking, violation of a restraining order. He's not getting out this time. Victoria nodded, then looked up at Nathan. Will you come with me? Always, Nathan said. If you want me there. I want you there, Victoria said firmly. Not because I need you to speak for me, but because I want you beside me. There's a difference. Nathan smiled, that genuine smile that transformed his face. Yes, there is. 6 months later, Victoria stood in the living room of her apartment, the one Nathan had given her, the one she'd chosen to keep because it was hers. Her space, her sanctuary, but she spent most nights at the penthouse anyway, by choice, not necessity, not dependence. Choice Tyler was in prison, 3 years minimum, and Victoria had testified against him with her head held. Hi, she'd started her job at Sterling Tech. Turned out she was exceptional at graphic design. Had already been promoted once based purely on merit. Her relationship with her family was healing slowly, carefully, but healing. And Nathan was patient, respectful, gave her space when she needed it, was there when she wanted him, never pushed, never demanded, just loved her the way love was supposed to be. You ready? Nathan asked, appearing in the doorway. He looked nervous, more nervous than she'd ever seen him. Ready, Victoria confirmed. They were going to a gala, Sterling Tech's annual charity event, and for the first time, Victoria was attending not as Nathan's secret, not as someone he was protecting, but as his partner, his equal, his choice, and he was hers. In the car, Nathan reached over and took her hand. I need to tell you something, he said. Victoria's heart skipped. That phrase, those words. But Nathan squeezed her hand reassuringly. Nothing bad? I promise. Just something I've been waiting to say until I was sure you were ready to hear it. Okay, Victoria said. I want you to move in with me. Really move in. Not staying over most nights. Not keeping your apartment as a safety net. Actually living together, sharing a space, building a life. He pulled a small box from his jacket pocket. And eventually, when you're ready, maybe thinking about forever. No pressure. No timeline. Just knowing that's where I want this to go. With you, only you. Victoria looked at the box. Inside was a key, not a ring. A key. It's for the safe in my study, Nathan explained, where I keep all my important documents, my passwords, my private information. Complete access. Complete trust. I want you to have it, because I have nothing to hide from you, and I never will. Victoria took the key with shaking hands. She said, yes, to moving in. Yes, to building a life together. And yes, eventually, when I'm ready, to forever. Nathan pulled her into a kiss, gentle, patient, perfect, when they broke apart. Victoria was smiling. I never thought I'd feel safe again, she whispered. Never thought I'd be able to trust anyone after Tyler. Never thought I'd find love that didn't hurt. Love should never hurt, Nathan said firmly. Real love protects. Real love builds up. Real love sets free. I know that now, Victoria said. Because of you. Because of us, Nathan corrected. You did the hard work, Victoria. You healed yourself. You found your strength. You chose to trust again, despite every reason not to. That's all you. We're a good team, Victoria said, threading her fingers through his. The best, Nathan agreed. At the gala, Victoria stood beside Nathan as he gave his speech. About the charity. About helping domestic violence survivors. About giving people second chances at safety and dignity in life. She watched him speak with passion and conviction, and knew she'd made the right choice. Not in the restaurant that rainy night, when she'd sat on his lap in desperation, but every day after, every moment when she'd chosen to trust, to hope, to believe that not all love was pain, that some love was shelter, was safety, was home. Tyler had taken so much from her. Her time, her peace, her sense of security, but he hadn't taken everything. He hadn't taken her strength, her courage, her ability to choose her own path, and she'd chosen this. Chosen Nathan. Chosen love that healed instead of wounded. As Nathan finished his speech and returned to her side, pulling her close, Victoria felt something she hadn't felt in years. Complete. Not because Nathan completed her, but because she'd completed herself and chosen to share that wholeness with someone worthy. I love you, she whispered as applause filled the ballroom. I love you too, Nathan murmured back. Always. And for the first time in as long as she could remember, Victoria believed in always again. The end.